Welcome on to another episode of Pokemon TCG Mythbusters. Yes, this is a series that we do on the channel to look at cards that people might want to play, whether you're new to the game or just not sure of what cards to pick. We're kind of going through what it can do, what it can't do, so if you guys are interested, by all means, then just use these cards. Also, if you guys have any information other than what I mentioned in the video, by all means put it in the description below. All the information that I'm going to give you guys about this card today would be from my own use playing it or playing against it. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty good card. So today we are looking at Cinderace VMax from Rebel Clash. Yes, Cinderace VMax is an alright VMax in my opinion. I kind of like it. 320 HP is nice. It's a fair amount for a VMax. I think it's kind of the mid ground, close to the low ground, but yeah, it's alright. We can make do. Retreat cost of 2 is nice because then Air Balloon gets us free retreat, which is always a good thing to see. Weakness to water is not too bad. You might see something like, oh, I don't know, Inteleon running around maybe. Water types, not so much in the meta game right now, so yeah, it's good. The main attack that we're going to be looking at today though is its first attack, which is for 1 fire and 1 colorless energy, which is counter. Does 30 damage, and if this Pokemon was damaged by an attack during your opponent's last turn, this attack does that much more damage. So yeah, it sounds like a pretty cool attack. So today we're just going to be looking at what counter does, what it can do, what it can't do, any specific guide on how to use counter efficiently and properly for Cinderace VMax. So the first thing that I normally had in mind is, if I evolve Cinderace V to Cinderace VMax while it got attacked last turn, does counter still work? No, it doesn't. Cinderace VMax has to be already evolved for it to use counter properly. So say for example it was hit with, I don't know, ADP, 180 damage. That should have made it 210 plus the 30 if you use counter. But if you evolve into Cinderace VMax, do counter, you just hit 30 because it's technically a different Pokemon. Which, yeah, it sucks, but then it's kind of you kind of have to look at who can I really keep up to take a blow before Cinderace VMax comes. You can by all means use Cinderace V, but just be careful that counter will not work if you get hit beforehand. Can I heal with Cinderace and also do the same amount for counter? Yes, because it's not Outrage. So what I mean is, a card like Reshiram Charizard for Outrage, same cost, 1 fire and I think 1 colorless as well, does 30 damage plus however much damage counters is on it. Cinderace doesn't do that. Whatever Cinderace gets hit by, it's locked, it's banked in. You can hit that damage no matter how much you heal, no matter how much you take back, it's fine, it's perfectly fine. So again, you could use something like Mallow and Lana to switch it back out, bring it up something like a Lily's Pokédoll or Jirachi to get that nice little retreat, bring Cinderace back. You could also do something like Indeedee, you can do potions, do anything like that. You can heal Cinderace as much as you want, but as long as it gets hit, you can hit whatever back. So you can heal Cinderace as much as you like before you hit, and it will still do the same amount back, which is great in my opinion, because then you can also charge up Cinderace to do extra damage while also healing. So I love that. I love that mechanic. I love it. If I was to do something like Super Scoop Up to get Cinderace back into my hand, could I still do counter? No. It's treated like a new Pokemon, as Super Scoop Up always intends to do with the cards that it picks up. So if you do, say, have Cinderace VMax on 310, use Super Scoop Up, bring it back, and then evolve it from another Cinderace V, you can't do counter again. You will not do counter for however much damage it will do. It just won't work, because it's treated like a new Pokemon. It's treated like a new Pokemon, new evolution, brand new HP, everything like that. So that's it. It shouldn't work like that. So unfortunately, yeah, that's the one like loophole. But then again, why would that work? It shouldn't work really, but yeah, Super Scoop Up. So try and avoid it. It can heal, but obviously it can't go back into your hand. Can I do counter for another Pokemon that was knocked out during my opponent's last turn? No. It's not like where Matchup and Marshadow, where they get revenge, where they do a certain amount of damage plus the 30 if a Pokemon was knocked out during your last turn. Cinderace VMax only works for itself, so it is literally a pinnacle deck. It is the main Pokemon of your deck. If you're making any deck with Cinderace VMax has to be the main upfront Pokemon. If I'm hit with double damage, if I'm hit with a water type, do I hit back the weakness damage or do I hit back the normal damage? You hit back the weakness. So say for example you did something like, oh gosh, I don't know, going off the top of my head, you know, for argument's sake, let's just go with Frostmoth. Frostmoth does, I think, 60 damage for the energy it needs. Times that by 2 makes it 120. Cinderace VMax hits back 120 plus the 30, because it still reads however much it was hit. Regardless of weakness, regardless of anything like that, if a Pokemon was to say have something like Vitality Ban, if something like ADP added on 30 extra damage, if a Steel type got boosted up by something like Galarian Berserker by 20, anything that Cinderace VMax gets hit by, as long as it doesn't get knocked out, will hit that same amount of damage back to your opponent. It is an amazing card. I love Cinderace VMax for so many good reasons. It has a high amount of HP, so things like ADP and Zacian won't get it knocked out. It does so much damage back to the point where it can knock out pretty much almost every other every Pokemon that hits it. For example, Zacian, again, even without the weakness, would still hit it back hard enough. ADP would still get a 2-hit KO. If you manage to heal with a Mallow and Lana, you could last 2 hits with ADP and get a 2-hit KO, which is nice. Even if Pikarom was to do full blitz to you twice, you would still not get knocked out, and you could hit Pikarom back for a 2-hit KO, which is amazing. That is really, really good. If Cinderace VMax has extra HP and is still hit over 320, does it still count? Yes, of course it does. Cinderace VMax with 320 HP. If you add Big Charm, that adds in an extra 30, I think. That makes it 350. If a card somehow managed to pull off 340 damage, you could still hit back 340 plus the 30, which is great. It is amazing. So most decks that you see with Cinderace VMax will use Big Charm just to get an extra variety of counter, which is great. But one thing that I would suggest is using something like Giant Bomb. We actually covered Cinderace VMax as a whole deck on its own a while ago. If I remember, I'll put the link in the description. But Cinderace VMax does hit a very, very good amount of damage. If you do add something like Giant Bomb, which came out in Unified Minds, I believe, it adds on 10 extra damage counters to a Pokemon that hits your Pokemon over 180, which right now, apart from Dragon Ball VMax, is most of the meta. You could say Pikarom with Electro Charger, or Electro Power, would turn it into 180 as well. Bolton, if there's enough energy, would go over 180, so that's already half of Bolton V's HP. Again, ADP hits 180 on the dot, so that would get an extra 100. Zacian would also get an extra 100 because it hits over 180. And then Cinderace just comes in, gets a 1-hit KO pretty much because of the counter, which is amazing. It's an amazing card to go with. And it also works because Giant Bomb's not really played a lot, so finally we get a use for Giant Bomb, which is nice. You turn a 2-hit KO into a 1-hit KO, which is really, really good. Other cards that I would suggest putting it with is obviously Mallow and Lana to heal. Jirachi, because obviously you will need a welder. Like, just one simple welder attachment will get counter ready and waiting to go. I personally put in DDV to heal up extra 20 damage, because you never know, 20 damage could go a very, very long way. I also added in things like Dene. I recently added in Volcanion from when we did the video. I added in Volcanion just as like a backup attacker, or a little booster in case we don't get Welder. We need to charge up. It's 1 energy, or 2 or 3 if you go second. If it's your first time going second, which again is just a nice little charge up. I did normal Cinderace, the Libero Cinderace, just in case again we need another backup attacker. And I also did Entei to get a revenge off. This way Entei can get a nice little 120 if they somehow manage to get Cinderace VMax down for the count, or we don't have another Pokemon to go up front. Again, this is all just like one-offs. You don't really need them, but it would be nice to get a backup Pokemon in case Cinderace VMax is getting a little bit high on the KO side. So yeah, it is a nice card to go for. In my opinion, personally, it's a really underrated card. I love Cinderace VMax. I love what it can do, and especially now when we're getting a new Fire Energy that buffs up extra HP, it's an amazing time to use Cinderace VMax, or to get ready to use Cinderace VMax. But that's my opinion anyways, guys. If you guys have any other information about Cinderace VMax, put it in the description below. But by all means, guys, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed, always click the like and always click another video. You guys are always welcome back, and I'll see you all in the next video. Right, guys, take care, and I'll see you all later. Okay, bye!